Hello, everybody. This is gonna be my presentation. So I know that this is gonna be a tutor class. Well, I guess this is just one of my presentations, so I'm just gonna show it to you, so you could have at least some perception or somehow some knowledge that you are more likely to know. Because somehow this is just philosophy in a basic thesaurus or something like that. But I'm just giving you without a textbook. I'm just giving you this kind of knowledge without even a textbook to read or anything about that. But I'm just giving it for you just to read, just to listen, just to at least understand my statements, and I would actually also be very, very appreciating if you somehow watch the whole video because this is also what I've been trying to make. This is also just two slides because somehow I'm just gonna predicate the whole things. It's like a long conversation, a long, very, very long yeah, a very long explanation, but I'm just gonna tell it to you guys in just two slides. But I hope this actually helps you guys to understand the theory of forms of Plato, which the title here is written "The Theory of Forms and How It's Present." So I'm gonna the meaning of this is present. So right now it's present, right? We are mostly living in a present life, on a present day. Somehow, what happens nowadays, what's happening right now in the present, you are watching my video. What is always changing can never be something that truly is. Well, actually, this is also one of the problems of same thing idea, but more likely this is just idealism. What is always changing can never be something that truly is. So in this stance, it more likely to explain that somehow it always changes. You see, what is always changing can never be something that truly is. Well, it's by changing by far, and somehow we say this is correct. We somehow see that this is very unethical, but we somehow say this is for the greater good, which is very utilitarianistic. But those principles are more likely to be considered normal. But now it's not. Like for example, lobotomy or something. Sorry about the coughing thing. So it's more like explaining about other illnesses that more likely to fix the brain, human experiments, and a lot of things which are considered unethical, but still were considered normal back then. There's also a lot of things that were considered normal back then, but is now somehow not even put to something by now. I guess euthanasia by now is very normal, but we're trying to guess that somehow it would also be illegal somehow sooner or later in Canada. So let's proceed to the next slide. So, how it works. Well, how does it work? Well, let's read it here. Mostly from our everyday lives, most see things that can change perspective. Like, for example, something considered normal but isn't by now, and something that was also not considered normal but is by now. So, what are the examples of that? Which I did give an example, which is also, for example, phlebotomy, which that's also an example. But what is not considered normal by now? Well, actually, there's a lot of things. Well, let's say what is considered normal before. Well, we could also say something considered normal before is also the marrying of children. Also, this also has a lot of ideas stating to that fact. But this also doesn't mean that it's really correct. It's really moral. I may say that morality is relative, but I won't say that it's very ethical. It's very somehow correct. Just because there is subjective morality doesn't mean it's correct. Though going at the same time, more things are more considered to be normal but isn't by now, which is somehow by sacrificing other people. Human sacrifice, that's an example. It is not considered normal by now. It's only because somehow we're more likely to know ethics, we're more likely to know a lot of things, and the moment we have our rights, The moment you have our democracy, we'll be more able to understand this kind of ideas. And what is not considered normal before and considered normal by now? Well, most countries, most progressive countries, see that gay people are more likely to be normal by now because somehow they're humans. That's what makes them. That's what makes them human. That's what makes them a true person. How they act, what their personality is. But also, they are still considered not normal before. Well, how? Mostly, there's also a lot of things. Like, if I give you an example, mental health doesn't mean to matter before. We mostly think that conservative people exist back then. At the same time, conservative people are trying to put the same values as before, telling people to man up, or telling people some things that somehow may predicate or somehow may put the person to depression, at the same time getting ignored for reasons. And also, women were also not considered, like, for example, uh, respecting women or having the rights for women to vote. It's also not considered normal. For example, in Spain, not until the 1800s, more likely that just somehow changing the reality. More, the same way perspective changes, that's what happens. So the second here is we live in matter, which obviously changes over time. Well, we are in a matter. We all know that matter changes over time. So that's actually somehow the change of our lives. Somehow we ourselves are also matter. We're not immaterial. We're material. We're also people. We have a body, which is matter itself. We walk. A lot of entities we see most of the time. What is considered matter? Well, our civilization is, for example, society, how it works, anthropology, a lot of things. Culture, by changing any means necessary, also changes. And more things to say, we could also say that somehow the the some countries could possibly even expand. Like, I'm not even lying. Some countries could expand more and more. But like before as well, already countries already expanded more and more. We all know that. We could even predicate that all of them might even expand at the future. Might even change a lot. Might even know how civilization works. Maybe at AI. Because from now, we know that devices, electronic devices exist, especially when I'm talking right now is an electronic device. If it was before, I would have been talking inside of a, I don't know, a microphone or somehow a speaker or anything like that, but at the same time, we all know or we all understand the same things logically. That these things are more likely to be matter and we are more likely to be changing over time. Ourselves changing how we look, how we all look before, we look different from now. That's how we could say matter as evident. And form is something we cannot say is real unless we interact with it. This is also Platonic idealism at the cost. So somehow, for example, science or gravity, we don't see it, but somehow when Newton tried to interact with it, tried to know, because somehow his ideas came from the apple falling from his head, which more likely to for him to have these kinds of let's say these kinds of I got a lot of words per se, but I think it's also from the reason that he has the idea of trying to think a lot of things. He had a purpose on trying to solve gravity. He had a lot of purpose. He had a meaning on it. He put a lot of things. He even said that time is absolute according to his according to his philosophy as well, where we all know that time should also be absolute because of time moving all over. We all know that time is just moving. Well, we all know that it is absolute according to physics, because somehow time is already being brought by physics. We all know that it correlates. Everything correlates to science. It's religion, philosophy, history. Everything goes to science. Why? History is time. Time is science. Religion, the Gregorian calendar. Time is science. Everything. We all know that it is more likely to be somehow something we don't even see, but somehow we make it. And now, this is according to Plato, more likely to be people that are intellect, or like the Newton had the idea, had the meaning for physics, had the idea for the gravity itself. It also gave us the idea to even perceive this kind of knowledge, for our critical thinking to have more and more knowledge, to having a more ideal, a broad aspect, thinking about things that we are more likely to think. From what I could say, he had an idea. How do I even say this? But I would like to also know a lot of things. But I'm also guessing that he had the purpose. He had also the interest to also study the same thing. He had his interest in physics, gravity, and also that's also one of the examples of form is something we cannot say unless it is unless we interact with it. But how about other things? hmm, how about other things? We don't usually see math. I mean, we try to calculate it, but we don't see it happening. Unless we try to calculate it, we know that it's more likely to happen. That's also an example of form that's something we cannot say is real, but somehow we can also interact with it. At the same time, this happens most of the time, so I'm gonna guess that therefore it is applicable because most of the time we mostly experience this. And this is just a summary about this, and I'm more likely to explain more ideas about this. I'm just making this a 12-minute video. Thanks, goodbye.